think it kind of started probably about 15 years ago. Traveling to all the big cities, obviously had a lot more boutiques to offer to visit at the time. And then for whatever reason, I just slowly but surely gravitated towards more and enjoying watches and the way they looked and the craftsmanship and the complications to the watch. And then eventually I just started buying them and becoming more knowledgeable of them because they were like stock and investments. They weren't cheap, and so when you're going to buy something, you want to know a little bit about your investment. And so that way I was learning along the way, and then obviously became very resourceful with a lot of the people that I was, the watch dealers that I was buying throughout the country. They were very beneficial as well, giving me a lot of insight and background to watches and the different types of watches and what to look for. And it's been a long process, but I would say about 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, the real enjoyment of sitting down and buying watches started. But you know, I've owned a watch for many years prior to that, but I got a lot of enjoyment starting to buy watches and learning about them probably around 10, 15 years ago. There was many watches that I bought, different brands before I met Rolf and Patrick from Ulysse Nardin. But I still went out and was an owner of their watch. In fact, the one watch that I bought that caught my eye, and the company by Ulysse was the Freak. And when I put in a request to buy one of those, the request went from the watch, the retailer, all the way to Patrick. And when he heard about that I was inquisitive about the watch and looking to purchase one, I think that my name was out there then. It wasn't, nothing came from that initially, but I would say shortly thereafter, a couple years later, you know, I met him personally in Florida at the opening of the grand opening of their boutique in Boca Raton. And from that point on, a great relationship had started. He knew that I was a owner before I met them, and a loyal customer and a lover of watches, and so it was nice to meet the people affiliated with the timepiece that I enjoyed wearing. And so I was obviously you know, flattered and honored when they came forward and said, well, let's try to work something out in the near future. And so when Patrick, after unfortunately the passing of Rolf Schneider, who I had met, unfortunately after the passing of him, there was a little bit of downtime before we could kind of get on the phone and discuss something of that nature. But when we did get together, it was very much evident that I wanted to be a part of the company, and they were asking me to be so. So the next gradual step was to come up with a watch design with a little bit of input from me to come up with my first timepiece that represents the big unit watch. When we worked out the initial deal to come on board, then Patrick talked about coming up with a limited edition numbered piece with some type of baseball theme. And so initially, it being the first timepiece, it was pretty easy. You know, somewhere on the watch, bezel, or on the face of it, you know, implementing my number 51. So on this watch, at the 52nd mark on the watch, instead of 50, it's 51. That was my number for most of my career. On the back of part of the second hand, there's a little baseball if you look closely. On the face of the watch, it is a lettered big unit in there. So there's a little bit of baseball flair to it, but it's not overstating. But it's nicely done with a little bit of baseball theme and a little bit of representation for myself.